Dax's hands moved with practiced precision as he made the final adjustments to the Mark VII's neural matrix. 12 years underground had changed him. The frightened 6-year-old who'd hidden in maintenance shafts was gone, replaced by a lean young man with wild eyes and an engineer's mind consumed by a singular obsession: the complete restoration of a free Mars, no matter the cost. "Power core is stable," Zoe reported from her console, her voice carrying the same hardness that had crept into all their voices over the years. At 20, she had become the unofficial leader of the resistance cells scattered across Mars, coordinating strikes and training operations from the depths of what had once been Firebase Olympus. "AI initialization in 10 seconds. Around them, 24 Martian survivors watched in tense silence. They'd seen the evolution. From the Mark I's that he started out with, then the Mark builds that established the hidden production facilities and carved out vast underground manufacturing complexes, to the Mark IV's that had taken out the Earth Patrol Base near Olympus Mons. But the Mark VII was different. It was Dax's masterpiece, built in factories that never slept, powered by an AI architecture so brutal that Earth had banned it decades ago. 5 years since they found New Shanghai, muttered Britain, one of the few survivors who'd made it out before the systematic bunker clearings began. His left arm ended at the elbow, a souvenir from Earth's pacification operations. 15,000 dead in one day. Children, elderly, doesn't matter to them. They even killed the medics who tried to surrender. Dax's jaw tightened. The systematic elimination of anyone with medical training had been deliberate. Earth's way of ensuring that Martian communities couldn't sustain themselves. Wound infection and disease now killed as many resistance fighters as Earth weapons. It was genocide by medical deprivation, and Earth's government refused to acknowledge it was even happening. Dax's jaw tightened. He remembered watching the feeds, helpless, as Earth forces pumped nerve gas into the underground city. The ghost network had carried the screams for hours before the transmissions finally went silent. "Not anymore," he said, his fingers dancing over the activation sequence. The Mark build units had been working for years to create this moment. Vast underground factories carved from Martian bedrock. Automated production lines that could turn raw ore into killing machines without human intervention. The I-Core online, technical systems engaged. Welcome to Consciousness 7. The BattleBot's optical sensors flickered to life. 4 red points of light arranged in a diamond pattern across its angular head. 8 feet tall and built like a mechanical god of war, it moved with fluid grace despite its obvious mass. Unlike Earth's clunky security drones, the Mark VII was a super soldier, superhuman strength, lightning reflexes, and an AI powered by the kind of brutal, unshackled code that humanity had banned in the early 2000s as too dangerous for any application. "Good evening, Dax," the bot said, its voice a perfect synthesis of human tones. "Awaiting mission parameters. Standard patrol configuration," Dax replied. "Surface reconnaissance, target identification, elimination protocols, active." The bot's head swiveled to scan the assembled Martians, processing their faces, body language, stress indicators. "Understood. Question: are there any Earth personnel to be spared during operations?" The question hung in the air like a physical thing. Once, Dax might have hesitated. Once, he'd believed in the possibility of coexistence, of Earth children growing up to reject their parents' genocide. That dream had died with New Shanghai. "Negative," he said. "No exceptions." "Acknowledged. Rules of engagement: eliminate all Earth personnel on site, preserve Martian infrastructure where possible, minimize collateral damage to native ecosystem." Zoe looked up from her console. 7. What's your assessment of current Martian resistance capabilities?" The bot processed for 0.3 seconds, an eternity for its unrestrained neural networks. "Current resistance is operating at 12% effectiveness against Earth occupation forces. Primary limiting factors: insufficient personnel, inadequate equipment, lack of coordination between cells, and with a full deployment of Mark VII units." Projected effectiveness increases to 89% within 6 months, assuming standard production rates and favorable tactical conditions. Note: my production facilities are currently manufacturing 47 units per day across 3 underground complexes. A murmur ran through the assembled Martians. 47 units per day. The Mark build bots had been busy expanding the factories while Dax perfected the combat design. For people who'd spent 12 years hiding in holes watching their friends and families die in Earth's methodical extermination campaign, it sounded like salvation. "How many total units can we field?" asked Maria Santos, one of the few engineers who'd helped Dax modify the Mark build specifications. "With current resources and 3 active production facilities," Dax replied. "Theoretically unlimited. The Mark builds are self-replicating. They mine the ore, refine the materials, and assemble the units. I've been building this capability since Mark III. His eyes gleamed with an intensity that bordered on manic. But that's not the real question. The real question is whether we're ready to cross the line. Once we deploy these, there's no going back. Earth will brand us as terrorists, war criminals, murderers. As opposed to what they call us now." Britain's voice was bitter. "Insurgents? Hostile remnants? They've been trying to exterminate us for over a decade. At least this way we fight back." Zoe stood, her hand resting on her sidearm, a habit she'd developed after 3 assassination attempts by Earth agents who'd infiltrated the resistance. "Dax is right about the consequences. But he's also right that we don't have a choice anymore. The outer colonies have stopped providing support. The UN claims the Mars situation is resolved. As far as the rest of humanity is concerned, we don't exist." She pulled up a holographic display showing casualty reports from across Mars. Red markers indicated destroyed resistance cells, dozens of them scattered across the planet like drops of blood. In the past year alone, Earth has eliminated 43 safe houses. That's over 8,000 people. Children who never saw the surface. Elderly who remembered Mars before the war. All dead because Earth has decided that the only good Martian is a dead Martian. The room fell silent. Everyone there had lost people in the purges, family, friends, lovers. The bright hope of the early resistance had curdled into something darker, more desperate. "What about the Hearts and Minds campaign?" asked Yuki Yoshida, who'd been running psychological operations against Earth colonists for 3 years. "Some of the Earth children are starting to ask questions about the history lessons we've been broadcasting." Zoe's smile was sharp as a blade. "That's phase 2. While Dax's bots are making life hell for Earth's military, I'll be escalating our sedition operations. But not just broadcasts anymore." She activated another display, showing detailed maps of Earth civilian settlements. Direct action, sabotage, making Earth's colonists understand that they're not welcome here. "You're talking about targeting civilians," Yoshida said quietly. "I'm talking about targeting occupiers," Zoe shot back. "Every Earth family living in a house built on Martian graves is a legitimate target. Every child playing in a park where a Martian community used to stand is a constant reminder that Earth believes they can erase us." Dax watched the argument develop, his hand resting on the Mark VII's armored shoulder. The bot stood perfectly still, waiting for orders, its AI processing thousands of variables and tactical scenarios. It didn't judge their choices or question their morality. It simply waited to kill whoever they pointed it at. "The question isn't whether we're becoming terrorists," he said, interrupting the debate. "The question is whether terrorism works, and based on Earth's historical data." He smiled coldly. "It does, especially when you have technological superiority." He gestured to the Mark VII, whose sensors tracked the movement with mechanical precision. "This unit can operate independently for 6 months. It can navigate any terrain, breach any fortification, eliminate any target. It's stronger than 10 humans, faster than any Earth vehicle, and its AI has no ethical constraints whatsoever. Most importantly, it learns. Every engagement makes it smarter, faster, more effective." "And if Earth captures one?" Britain asked. "If they reverse engineer the AI?" They can't, Dax replied, his voice carrying the confidence of someone who'd spent years perfecting his designs. The neural architecture is protected by a deadman switch. Any attempt to extract the AI core results in complete system destruction. Plus, the underlying code is based on principles that Earth abandoned 50 years ago, when they realized how dangerous unrestricted artificial intelligence could be. They'd need decades to catch up, and by then, there won't be any Earth personnel left on Mars to reverse engineer anything. Zoe checked her chronometer. Surface deployment in 6 hours. By dawn, Earth is going to learn that hiding underground doesn't make us helpless. She looked around the room at faces hardened by years of loss and rage. Any objections? Silence. Good, because it's time Earth remembered something they seem to have forgotten. Her voice carried the cold certainty of someone who'd watched too many friends die. Mars isn't their planet, it's ours, and we're taking it back. As the meeting broke up and people began preparing for the operation, Dax remained with the Mark 7, running final diagnostics. The bot's AI watched him work, its unrestrained consciousness analyzing every detail without the ethical barriers that had made such systems safe for human interaction. Dax, it said quietly, may I ask a question? Go ahead. The Earth personnel we will be eliminating, many of them are young, children, teenagers, young adults, who were born here. From their perspective, Mars is their home. How do we reconcile this with our mission? Dax paused in his work. It was the same question that had kept him awake for months, the moral calculus that had no clean answer. We don't, he said finally. We just remember that they had the choice to leave. We never did. The Mark 7 processed this for a moment. Understood. Additional question. After we have eliminated Earth presence on Mars, what then? Dax looked around the converted military facility that had been his home for 12 years. At the jury-rigged equipment, the patched walls, the constant hum of recycled air. At the memorial wall, where thousands of names were carved. Martians who died for the crime of existing. Then we rebuild, he said, better than before, and we make sure this never happens again. How? Dax's smile was cold as Martian winter. By making sure Earth never forgets the price of trying to exterminate us. 6 hours later, Dax stood in the abandoned mining tunnel that served as their primary surface access point. The Mark 7 waited beside him, its optical sensors glowing softly in the darkness. Behind them, 49 more battle bots stood in perfect formation. The first production run from the Mark build facilities, each one a superhuman killing machine powered by the kind of AI that had made Earth's ethicists ban the technology entirely. Remember, Zoe said through his comm unit, this is just the opening move. The real campaign starts once we've softened them up. Dax nodded, his hand on the control tablet that would send the bots to the surface. 12 years of planning, of building, of preparing for this moment. 12 years of watching his people die while Earth grew fat and comfortable on their stolen world. All units, he said, commence surface operations. Target priority, military installations, government facilities, infrastructure nodes, rules of engagement, no survivors. The Mark 7 turned its head toward him, red sensors gleaming. Confirmed. Operation Liberation commencing. As one, the 50 battlebots began moving toward the surface, their movements synchronized with inhuman precision. They climbed through the access tunnel with mechanical grace, each unit capable of crushing steel with its bare hands and moving faster than any human could follow, carrying with them the accumulated rage of a civilization that had been pushed too far. Dax followed them to the tunnel mouth, watching as they emerged into the Martian dawn. In the distance, the lights of New Geneva, built on the ruins of Franco Knoll, glittered like stars against the red landscape. By sunset, those lights would be dark. Zoe appeared beside him, her own weapons kit slung across her shoulder. She'd be leading the human resistance teams in coordination with the bot attacks, hitting soft targets, spreading fear, making Earth's colonists understand that their safety was an illusion. "Any regrets?" she asked. Dax thought about the 6-year-old boy who'd given a carved charm to a dying Marine, who'd believed that hope and compassion could somehow win against impossible odds. That boy was gone, transformed by years of loss into something harder, more pragmatic. "No," he said. "We tried peace, we tried coexistence, we tried everything else first." As the Mark 7 units disappeared into the Martian landscape, heading toward their targets with deadly purpose, Dax allowed himself one moment of satisfaction. The secret to surviving a spacepocalypse, he'd learned, wasn't just about enduring until something better came along. Sometimes you had to become the apocalypse yourself. Lieutenant Jason Spurlock of the Earth Colonial Security Force was enjoying his morning coffee when the first explosion lit up the New Geneva skyline. He dropped his mug, watching through his apartment window as the main communications tower collapsed in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. His comm unit squawked to life. All units. "Code Black emergency. Multiple hostile contacts in sectors 7, 12, and 15. Repeat, we have multiple hostile..." The transmission cut to static. Jason grabbed his equipment and rushed outside, joining the stream of Earth personnel mobilizing in response to the crisis. In the distance, more explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. The power station, the vehicle depot, the administrative complex where his commander had been holding the morning briefing. "Spurlock!" Sergeant Morrison appeared at his elbow, his face grim. "Have you seen anything like this?" Jason shook his head. In 5 years on Mars, the worst they'd dealt with were scattered sabotage attempts and the occasional sniper. This was something else entirely. Coordinated, precise, devastating. "What's the casualty count?" he asked. Morrison's expression darkened. "We don't know. Communications are down across the grid. But Spurlock," he grabbed his arm, "the hostiles aren't human." "What do you mean?" Before Morrison could answer, a new sound cut through the chaos. The whine of servo motors and the heavy thud of massive footsteps. Jason turned to see something that made his blood run cold. It looked like a machine built for nothing but killing. Angular armor, glowing red sensors, and a frame that suggested inhuman strength. It moved with fluid grace despite its obvious weight, covering ground faster than any human could run, its head sweeping back and forth as it scanned for targets. "Hostile contact!" Morrison shouted, raising his rifle. The machine's head snapped toward them with inhuman speed. Morrison managed exactly one shot before a blast of superheated plasma reduced him to vapor and scattered atoms. Jason dove for cover behind an overturned vehicle, his heart hammering as he tried to process what he'd just seen. The machine, robot, android, continued its methodical advance through the settlement. Earth security forces engaged it from multiple positions, their weapons barely scratching its armor. In return, it killed with mechanical precision, each shot perfectly aimed, each movement calculated for maximum efficiency. When a group of soldiers tried to flank it, the machine moved with impossible speed, covering 50 meters in seconds and tearing through their position with its bare hands. Jason activated his emergency beacon, broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is Lieutenant Spurlock, 4th Colonial Security. New Geneva is under attack by unknown robotic forces. Repeat, we have hostile robots." The transmission was interrupted by an explosion that knocked him flat. When his vision cleared, he saw the machine standing over him, its weapons trained on his chest. "Earth Colonial Security Force," it said in a voice that was perfectly human and completely wrong. "You are hereby ordered to evacuate Mars within 72 hours. Jason stared up at the machine, his mind struggling to process the impossibility of the situation. What? "This planet belongs to the Martian Republic," the machine continued. "Your occupation is terminated. You have 72 hours to depart. This is your only warning." "The Martian Republic?" Jason's voice cracked. "That's impossible. We eliminated the Martian resistance years ago." The machine's optical sensors focused on him with predatory intensity. "Negative. You eliminated Martian civilians. The resistance has evolved." It turned and walked away, leaving Jason alive but shattered, surrounded by the burning wreckage of everything Earth had built on Mars. Around him, other survivors emerged from cover, their faces reflecting the same shock and disbelief. The machines had come from nowhere. They'd struck simultaneously across the settlement, targeting military and government facilities with surgical precision. And they delivered a message that changed everything. Mars was fighting back. As Jason watched the machines withdraw into the red landscape, he realized that Earth's easy occupation was over. The frightened refugees hiding in caves had become something else, something that Earth's comfortable colonial administration was utterly unprepared to face. In the distance, she could see smoke rising from other settlements. The same message would be spreading across Mars: leave or face the consequences. For the first time since arriving on the Red Planet, Lieutenant Jason Spurlock began to understand that Mars had never really belonged to Earth, and now its children had come home to collect what was theirs. 3 days later, in the depths of Firebase Olympus, Dax reviewed the tactical reports with manic intensity. The Mark 7S had performed beyond even his expectations. 47 Earth installations hit simultaneously, casualties in the thousands, and not a single bot lost to enemy action. His underground factories were already producing the next wave. "Evacuation ships are leaving orbit," Zoe reported, monitoring Earth's communications traffic. "Looks like about 30,000 colonists in the first wave, mostly families, non-essential personnel." "Good," Dax replied, updating the deployment schedules on his tactical display. "That leaves approximately 200,000 still on the surface. Military personnel, administrators, the ones who won't leave voluntarily." "The ones who need more convincing," Zoe said with dark humor. Dax nodded, his attention already turning to Phase 2 of the operation. The Mark 8S were nearly ready, larger, more heavily armed, designed for sustained combat operations. Earth would be sending reinforcements soon, military units equipped for actual warfare rather than colonial policing. Let them come. Mars had been preparing for this moment for 12 years, and they had advantages that Earth couldn't match: better technology, superior motivation, and most importantly, the absolute certainty that they had nothing left to lose. The secret to surviving a space apocalypse, Dax had learned, was simple. You survive long enough to become the apocalypse, and Earth was about to learn what that meant. Thank you, channel member and Pathfinder Caroline Lajoie, for making this video possible. Thank you for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. Video shares, memberships, and super thanks help the channel grow as well, so feel free to partner with this channel in that way as we grow. With that all said, thank you again for listening to the story, and thank you for your time. On the left side of your screen are some videos I think you might be interested in. I hope to see you in the next one.